Hi, it's Dr. Quartell, and I'm back again with another golden health nugget. And this is one that I call the commercial break. And a couple days ago, I was watching some regular commercial TV with my wife. We like to watch some stuff together. And it wasn't anything political, it wasn't anything edgy. It was just, fluffy TV, just a normal show. And then an ad break came on. And what caught my attention wasn't really just one of the commercials. It was the six of them and the way that they were played back to back to back in a very specific alternating order. First, there was a commercial for junk food, then a commercial for a pharmaceutical, and then back to a junk food and back and forth and back and forth. And the specific order of the commercials was first it was Daisy sour cream French onion dip and chips, and then Eggless, which was targeting people with eczema. Then a Dairy Queen fried chicken flamethrower basket meal, and then that commercial was followed by Enbrel for people suffering with rheumatoid arthritis, and then there was Ghirardelli chocolates, followed by an ad by Roe for erectile dysfunction. And in the grand scheme, it was like familiar and friendly, comfort, indulgence. Like these are so great. And then immediately followed, there was an ad for immune dysregulation treatment, erectile dysfunction treatment. And it was a stark contrast. And it stopped me. I was like, whoa. Because what I realized in real time was that I wasn't really watching a random advertising promotion push. I was watching a complete metabolic and inflammatory cause and effect storyline. And it was just compressed into about 3 minutes. And here's really why I felt like that matters. The food commercials, they're really not about food. They're about scientifically engineered products. These are products that are also known as ultra processed. They're hyper palatable. They're not food, but they're substances designed to override normal fullness signaling. And think about the commercial for Lay's potato chips, right? But you can't eat just one. They're designed for you to overeat. These aren't foods that we evolved with over the last several thousand years. These foods are designed for shelf life, mouth feel, repeat consumption. In other words, a constant dopamine on-demand source. And we don't consume them occasionally anymore. We've normalized them in our society that they're everywhere all day long. And we've even taught our nervous system that comfort, reward, and relaxation come from food-like substances that quietly hijack our sense of pleasure and lead to disrupted metabolism and lead to disrupted digestion function. And over time, this matters because the gut isn't just where food goes, it's where your immune regulation begins. When ultra-processed foods are included in the diet, and we see very predictable patterns when they're included. There's altered gut bacteria, altered gut microbiome, there's intestinal damage, chronic low-grade inflammation. All of these happen every time we introduce ultra-processed foods because the symptom becomes reactive, hyper-responsive, overly sensitive. And eventually inflammation shows up somewhere. Maybe it's the skin or the joints, the airway, your veins and blood vessels, your hormones. And it's usually not immediately, but it will progress quietly and gradually until it's bad enough to then finally be labeled as a condition that we can treat. Eczema, Crohn's, psoriasis, hypertension, GERD, erectile dysfunction. And then the next commercial in the sequence was the solution to the problem, the condition that was caused by the ultra-processed food. So it showed people getting their lives back. They were walking, they were smiling, they were reconnecting. Then I don't want you to take this as I'm dismissing the relief medications can provide, because they absolutely can't help get rid of symptoms and they lessen human suffering, which is very valuable. That matters. But here's the observation that stopped me in full step. None of those ads address how the problem originally started. They just treat the downstream result, not the upstream cause. The drugs that they were advertising, they suppress natural immune system function. The symptom is managed with the drug. The condition is named, and then it's maintained with a pharmaceutical. And this results in a patient taking a drug or a pill or consuming something, that drug forever. So in one ad break, we sell the poisons that damage the body, and then immediately thereafter, we sell the lifelong antidote required to manage the consequence of the poison. That's not accidental. That's a system. And to be clear, this isn't about villains, it's not about conspiracy, but it's about incentive. Food companies, big major food companies around the country and world, are rewarded for creating a craving and then making a product that is overconsumed to fill that craving. Pharmaceutical companies are rewarded for chronic need and lifelong use. No one in that loop is paid to restore health. Dysregulated metabolism or a damaged gut. Those are the products. Your bad health is the product. And no one gets paid when there's no more product. This is why lifestyle medicine can and oftentimes feel very disruptive because it breaks that loop. And when you stabilize blood sugar, when you reduce inflammatory load, when you restore gut integrity, when you improve your sleep, improve your movement, and your nervous system tone is better, many of those same downstream issues, those downstream diagnoses and conditions, they improve or go away, sometimes dramatically quickly, sometimes quietly, but often enough to make you ask an uncomfortable question like, hey, maybe it was what I was doing in my lifestyle. And uncomfortable questions don't sell well during commercial breaks. This is where the body user manual, my book, comes in. It's because your body isn't broken. It's just responding appropriately to the inputs it's given. It's responding the exact way you're asking it to. Because if you feed it substances that confuse signaling, your body will adapt. If you live in a state of chronic stimulation, it won't compensate. And if you only ever address the compensation, then you never restore the system. You never get help back. And the real tragedy isn't that we have powerful medications. I'm glad we do. But the tragedy is that we've normalized a world where the cause is invisible or ignored, and the treatment is permanent and embraced. So the next time you're watching TV, pay attention, not just to what's being sold, but the order in which it comes around. Watch the story unfold from indulgence to inflammation to intervention. And then ask yourself a better question. Don't ask like, oh, what drug fixes this? But ask, what input created this signal in the first place? What am I doing to my body that might have created it? Because health isn't managing commercials. It's built upstream, quietly, daily, with intention. And once you see the loop, you can then begin to choose to step out of that loop and get real health and a solution. So today, thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe. It really helps us out a lot, and we'd love to hear from you. Until next time, I'm Dr. David Quartell. I hope that you learned something today.